Speaker, the Honorable Kechuku Akara Nwaugu, and other members of the Rivers State Executive Council present. His Royal Highness, the Onyewali of Kolomandoki, Eze Alex Dike, and other traditional rulers present. Heads of government, parastatals and agencies present, management and staff of Transcore, management and staff of the Trans-Afam Power Station present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First, let me the very warm felicitations of President Muhammadu Buhari, who, as you know, is a special guest of honor, and I am here today on his behalf. It's my very special pleasure to join you at this official commissioning of the AFAM 3 Fast Power. AFAM 3 Fast Power, as we've heard already, is an important part of the evolving story of Nigeria's aspirations to bring electricity to millions in their homes and to factories and businesses that provide their livelihoods. This is because it brings into very sharp relief the importance of private capital in building up capacity along the power value chain. A major weakness of our privatization process, which of course you know started in about 2005 and since then, was and has been inadequacy of private investments and new cash injections. But the tide is turning with indigenous and indigenous entrepreneurs such as Transcore Power and Heirs Holding making significant investments such as this 100% acquisition of 966 megawatts installed capacity AFAM PLC and AFAM 3 Fast Power Limited, jointly referred to as the AFAM GENCO, at an acquisition cost, as I'm sure you've heard already, of about 105.3 billion naira. Only yesterday, the National Council on Privatization formally delisted Transcore Power PLC, formerly known as Ugeli Power PLC, from routine monitoring and evaluation by the BPE, indicating yet another successful power investment. In the last few days, I must say, and I've told Tony Elumelu this already, I must say the last few days belong to Transcore Power, because at the same meeting of the National Council on Privatization, the Council approved the Transcore Power Consortium as preferred bidder for the acquisition of the Abuja Disco. But the complete story is that in the past few years, we have seen more new money coming into the power value chain. These transactions include the Quest PLC that became co-investor in Yola Disco in 2020, with a transaction worth 19 billion naira. Last month, the NCP approved the 30-year concession on Zugweru hydropower plant at $70 million a year for the entire concession period. And overall, the story of the Nigerian electricity supply industry is also getting better. I'm happy to say that since 2020, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has executed all its biannual review processes without fail. Now, this is a major difference from the past. In 2019, subsidies reached a peak of 584 billion naira in an environment that became so burdensome for the Nigerian government's fiscal position. The introduction of the service-based tariff, the Payment Discipline Initiative for the sector, which was jointly organized by NERC and the CBN, and the introduction of the National Mass Metering Program have led to a doubling of market collections in the Nigerian electricity supply industry, from 40 billion naira a month in 2020 to a record 80 billion per month in the first quarter of 2023. In 2021 and 2022, 5 underperforming discos were brought into a restructuring program that has led to a 10 billion naira per month reduction in shortfalls. If this trajectory continues, then it means that the Nigerian electricity supply industry will attain self-sufficiency by the end of 2023. In other words, it will be able to resource itself, pay for itself. The challenge before us now is for the industry to leverage the improved commercial environment that has been created to sustainably supply electricity and improve service to all our citizens. Our administration has made significant strides in this direction. The administration has created programs for off-grid electrification, and we also revamped the Rural Electrification Agency such that it now has the capacity to provide renewable off-grid electricity supply on a first-class basis. This administration has also completed concessions, as you heard, the Zungeru hydroelectric power plant that will add another 700 megawatts of renewable energy to our energy mix. We believe we're on track to electrify all Nigerians in the next decade as we look forward to the next administration scaling up already existing programs. Despite all these, we will not make progress if our industrial and urban power supply that is anchored on large-scale gas power plants, such as the AFAM 3 power, does not improve. Despite having one of the largest gas reserves in the world, the gas supply and security for the power sector has remained inconsistent and is hampering reform. In 2022, a gas supply stabilization fund of 40 billion was established by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, to provide advanced payment security to all gas suppliers in the electricity supply industry. Consistently, gas suppliers to the sector had claimed that payment certainty was the greatest challenge to supply. Unfortunately, the payment security has not led to improved supply certainty. So I encourage gas producers and gas suppliers to have a fundamental rethink about supply security and prefer ways to ensure our gas supply can improve and meet the gap and growing demands of the Nigerian electricity supply industry. Some areas to further explore would be to depend perhaps more on non-associated gas and specific gas fields to supply the power industry on at more liberalized rates. Also, more joint regulatory partnerships are needed between NERC and the oil and gas regulatory agencies over gas supply to the power sector. Particularly, every gas company supplying to the power sector should have a requirement to have some form of contractual obligations with penalties for non-performance. We must eliminate all best endeavor contracts for gas supply to the power sector. I also urge the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, the NNPC Limited, to work constructively with the power companies in order to improve stability of supply from the Okolomo gas plant and its associated fields, so we can have maximum output of the 1.5 gigawatts of energy capacity in this AFAM cluster. Let me end with special commendations. First, to the federal government for starting and completing this project. I recall a number of years ago when General Electric spoke to us about the idea of bringing new state-of-the-art aeroderivative gas power units to place. At the time, the president's advisor on infrastructure was on the GE side. He's now on the government side. And the whole idea was to replace the scrapped AFAM 3 power plant with this new technology. To some, it seemed fanciful, given the negative investment environment for power in the country at the time. But that commitment and partnership with General Electric has now resulted in this additional 240 megawatts of capacity in this very important AFAM cluster that houses our most important assets in the country today. Then, of course, the Rivers State government and the AFAM paramount ruler, And the communities are joining AFAM for working constructively with the power companies to ensure continued peace and security in the AFAM cluster, without which we wouldn't be here today commissioning this project. Also to General Electric for its continued investments and partnership with Nigeria to improve our electricity industry. To the DGBP and the entire BP team, and of course the National Council on Privatization for another successfully completed transaction. And of course, Tony Elumelu, the serial power investor, and the entire Transco team for yet another great power sector investment. That we have all that we require to create one of the best power markets in the world. I'm also confident that it will happen within our lifetimes. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Please, may we all rise with a round of applause for His Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, delivering this keynote address on behalf of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, on this very special occasion of the commissioning of the AFAM 240 megawatts 3 fast power project. Well, for the first time, hearing a few terminologies from the Vice President when he spoke about the delisting of AFAM Power, or Ugeli Power, from the BPE and then handing it over to Transco. Well, if you're in the financial markets, if you're delisted from an exchange, it's bad news. But when the NCP and the BP delist you, it's good news. So let's give another round of applause, please, to Transcorp and, of course, to Mr. Vice President, who is the Chairman of the National Council on Privatization, for making this happen, and also putting pen to paper for the Abuja Disco. We'll just take one or two set of photographs, and then we will proceed, led by our chief host, Mr. Tony Elumelu, to the official commissioning. So, Mr. Vice President, if you permit me, I will have to bring you back to the podium for just one or two photographs. May I list you back on the podium, Mr. Vice President? Please step forward. Then, Mr. Tony Elumelu, please. Okay, the photographs will be done at the center. So let me just quickly mention the names, please. Only few of our guests will be going with the Vice President for the commissioning. The DG of the BPE, please, may you please come to the podium. The Permanent Secretary in the Power Ministry, please step forward as well. The President and Group CEO of Transcorp, as well as the GE Country President. Immediately after this group photograph, these ladies and gentlemen will proceed to the official commissioning. Please, the rest of us will remain seated. This event is live on Arise News, so you can please watch on arise.tv. Please, you can tune in to arise.tv to watch this event. It's live on arise.tv, www.arise.tv. Please go ahead and please, you can watch it as well. And of course, in Channels Television, please. Please, you can watch. Please, you can tune on to your television and please watch this live. And you can watch it online as well. The official commissioning of the AFAM 3 fast power project here in Rivers State under the auspices of the
Your Excellency,
Transnational Group Corporation. Please, we'll listen in to proceedings at the commissioning.
After which we will go to the control room for you to cut the...
Excellent, distinguished guests and gentlemen. It is my special pleasure and privilege to officially commission the 240 megahertz AFAM 3 fast power plant, commissioned today by His Excellency Professor Yemi Osinbajo on this 9th day of May 2023. For the benefit of the people of Nigeria and to the glory of the Almighty God.
Sorry, just to the control room. Okay.
We had a bit of a hiccup. Remember when we came asking for a bit of support, we had one transformer that was stopped. Now put in. So what we're going to do today is we're going to crack this first unit. It's 50 megawatt. Basically, just going on.
Your Excellency, privilege to have you commission the tape today.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, my special privilege and pleasure to commission this plant, Farm 3 fast power plant, for the benefit of the nation and to the glory of the Almighty God.
You're still on to our live broadcast of Transcor's inauguration of its AFAM 3 fast power plant by His Excellency, Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who has represented the President, Muhammadu Buhari, at this event. The commissioning of the power facility has since taken place, done by Vice President Professor Osinbajo. Dignitaries at this event have now proceeded to inspect the facilities, led by the chairman of the Transcorp Group, Mr. Tony Elumelu. Other speakers at this event before the Vice President include the Minister of Power, who was represented by Mr. Timitokwe Fashidemi, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Power. The DG of the Nigeria Bulk Electricity Trading Company also spoke. Before now, Dr. Nemeka Eweluka. The Governor of Rivers State has also been represented at this event by Dr. Rufus Godwin, the Head of Service of Rivers State. And earlier in his remarks, Professor Osinbajo, the Vice President, lauded the giant strides of the Buhari administration in the power sector, saying, if reforms continue, the Nigeria electricity supply will achieve self-sufficiency by the end of 2023. He said the mass metering program of the federal government has led to an increase in revenue generated in that sector from 40 billion naira to 80 billion naira. There you have it. They have since concluded inspection of the facilities and now posing for a second photo opportunity. The Vice President there, flanked by other dignitaries at the event, including the Chairman of Transcorp PLC, Mr. Tony Elumelu. This is a major acquisition in which Transcorp Power PLC has made a 100% acquisition of the AFAM Genco at the sum of 105.3 billion naira. According to the Vice President, the National Council on Privatization has since delisted AFAM Genco from the list of the procurement process since the acquisition by Transcorp Nigeria PLC, again at the sum of 105.3 billion naira.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please may we all rise as we welcome back the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Professor Yemi Osinbajo. Please, and his entourage, please, may we all rise. Please, Mr. Vice President, may we all rise for the anthem of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to formally conclude this official commissioning of AFAM 3 Fast Power Project. The anthem of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, please. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic, for representing the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria at the commissioning of AFAM 3 Fast Power Project. We thank everyone for attending, including all our partners to this project. On behalf of Transcorp Nigeria PLC, I have the singular privilege and honor of saying thank you, and we all wish everyone a very safe journey back home. Thank you very much. This event is formally closed.
This is Channels Television, and you've been on to our live coverage of Transcorp's commissioning of its 240 megawatts AFAM 3 power plant in Port Harcourt, River State. And this marks the end of the broadcast as we now continue with our programming for the day.
You've been watching a live Channels Television event.
The document outlines the national security concerns of the country and corresponding strategies to deal with them. The National Security Strategy of Nigeria was first conceived in 2014 and reviewed in 2019. It is estimated that over $200 billion has been lost between 1999 to date owing to terrorism, insurgency, banditry, militancy, and the like. The validation exercise will also enhance the security of all the nation's critical assets and infrastructure to boost the economy in line with the policy thrust of the current administration.